I'm Nancy Showalter, and you're listening to Spirituality for the Politically Incorrect podcast. Welcome, all radical paradigm shifters and creative change makers. You who dare to create a better life and a better world. Tap into the power that resides within you and use that power for constructive change. Hello and welcome to today's episode. We're continuing our study on the 7 major chakras, and we've covered the heart chakra, which is the very center and anchoring of that spark of God within us from our own I am presence and higher God self. We've talked about the throat as being the power center, the third eye as being that powerful visualization or imagination to where you can see beyond just what is in the physical. And last week we talked about the solar plexus, which is a very powerful chakra in that it is our feeling body, our emotional self that is truly the power that is meant to be directed to fulfill our spiritual path. So we're going to go now to the Seat-of-the-Soul Chakra. This chakra is below the solar plexus. You have the heart, and then below that is the solar plexus. Below that is the Seat-of-the-Soul Chakra. Now, the Seat-of-the-Soul Chakra, this is the place where your soul, when it comes into embodiment, is anchored to the etheric body, that divine blueprint that we don't necessarily see, but it encompasses our memories and our divine blueprint, our divine memory, and it is anchored to our physical body also. Now, the Seat-of-the-Soul Chakra is the chakra of freedom, and this is what our soul is meant to be, free. And the fires of freedom, we know as we're moving out of the Piscean age into the Aquarian age, where the torch is passed from Jesus to Saint Germain, the Aquarian age is an age of freedom. And the violet flame is that divine gift given to us to transmute all of the energies, all of the karma, all the things that are coming up at the end of this age, personally and collectively, so that we can move into the new age, the Aquarian age, which is really destined to become a golden age. So the violet flame liberates the soul from all perversions, all misuses of energy. We can transmute karma, ancient karma, recent karma. All of this energy can be transmuted by the violet flame. So this Seat-of-the-Soul Chakra is important for us because this, again, is where the soul is anchored to the physical body and to the divine blueprint. This chakra has 6 petals, which represents the 6-pointed star of victory. And this governs the flow of light and the karmic patterns in the genes and chromosomes, in the sperm and egg of man and woman. So in other words, this is a very important chakra to understand and to protect. We do need to protect our soul. Our soul is the vulnerable part of us. And that soul brings to this particular lifetime the understanding of the karmic patterns that are imprinted on our genes and chromosomes and within the sperm and egg of man and woman. So we know that the soul then has a divine plan, overall divine plan for whole existence, but also for a specific lifetime. So we know our karma manifests, good and not so good karma, manifests through our physical bodies, our emotional, our mental, our memory bodies. But there's more to us, of course, than just our soul. There is our higher consciousness, known as a higher mental body. the Christ consciousness, your Christ self. There is that higher identity, and then your I am presence, which is the part of you that remains in spirit that only can perceive perfection. Otherwise, the universe collapses. God at the highest level maintains that perfection, and we have the stepping down of the Son or daughter of God, the Christ, whatever term you want to put to that. And the soul then descends into matter, but we still have access to that Christ consciousness that is within us and the God consciousness of the I am presence. So think of your soul, that is the vulnerable part of you. That soul comes into embodiment, and the soul is experiences positive experiences, negative experiences, balancing karma, having situations come. We know the first 12 years of life are meant to be that protected, purity protected time. And around age 12 is when we start to receive our karma from previous lives and the things that were meant to manifest and balance in this particular lifetime. Things that we agreed upon, either by choice or by our karma, that dictates what we are going to experience in this life. So, our karma, what we experience in a particular lifetime, is not necessarily solely our choice, because obviously, if it were, everybody would be rich, beautiful, healthy, get along with everyone, everything would be perfect. But we are subject to our karma, we're subject to our plan. What is it we're supposed to master in this life? Because we may not have a heavy karma, negative karma, but we have our tests, our spiritual tests, and our mastery, so that we can totally transcend this octave of physical embodiment, get off the wheel of reincarnation, and get back to that reunion with God in the ascension as that final victory. So think of your soul as the vulnerable part of you that experiences, very vulnerable the first 12 years. As a newborn, we can't even exist without someone else taking care of us. It's just that simple. So we are dependent at that point. So we are like little sponges that just accept everything into our environment because we don't have yet the developed capacity to make those conscious choices. This is why it's very important. This is why Jesus said, it's better to tie a millstone to your neck and jump in the sea rather than harm one of these little ones. So our children, which is all of us, we all came this way as a child, in the womb and then born and dependent upon others. It's a sacred trust that we all share. As we invite souls into embodiment, we may have karma with those souls. We may be providing opportunity for those souls. Either way, there's always a plan. And it's not always a plan that we can understand or see very simply. But that soul being that vulnerable part, as we mature, we know that what happened in our childhood, whether it's traumatic or beautiful, it doesn't matter. We have things impressed upon us through our environment, through all the people that we interact with, primarily, of course, first our parents, but then we have teachers, we have society, we have all of these things, and we bring that into our maturity. So we never really lose that child part of us, that vulnerable part, that soul that needs to be supported, protected, loved, and you have a higher consciousness. You have the Christ consciousness within to be able to do just that with your own soul. So it's an amazing opportunity to help heal the soul, because if this individual has gone through traumatic experiences or abuses in those first 12 years, that soul needs to be healed, because otherwise it becomes a victim. And you do not want to remain ever in a victim consciousness, because you cannot make progress at that point, because then you're always seeing the outside world as controlling who you are. And in reality, that is not the case. We are sons and daughters of God, children of the light, and we have that power of decision to change, to overcome. We have many tools that have been given us: the violet flame, protection, Archangel Michael. We have angels, we have masters, we have tools, meditation, that all these different things that we can use for our own soul's protection. And always remembering that the higher consciousness within you can nurture and love and protect that soul. So this is the Seat-of-the-Soul Chakra. So think about your soul as you go forward on the path, and realize when you're feeling fearful, you're feeling even angry, whatever, speak to your soul. Speak to yourself, which is your soul, and let your soul know that you have his or her back. You love that soul. You are the loving parent now that maybe that child never had. You are going to perform this magnificent alchemy within your own consciousness. Remember the violet flame? I am a being of violet fire. I am the purity God desires. You can repeat this over and over, not as vain repetition, but visualizing and seeing that violet flame fill your aura, fill through your chakras to transmute any and all misqualified energy, any and all karma coming up for clearance and transmutation. Have a wonderful week. I will see you next week. Until then, keep an open mind, a generous heart, and a powerful spirit. Thank you for being with me today, and if you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, download, and comment. I'd love to hear from you, and your support is much appreciated. And don't forget, go to nancyshowalter.com to get your free electronic copy of my book, It's Okay to Be Rich, The Entrepreneur's Guide to Increased Wealth and Personal Mastery, endorsed by T. Harv Eker, and my free mini course, How to Speak Your Success, the shocking truth of how your words impact achieving your goals. I'll see you next week.